least wishing a good luck and have fun to the runners.
Well, it's still within a few days of Mother's Day, so maybe his mother's watching.
That is true. That is true. And it looks like we are going to get started here. Why do we only have one bed? As the uncle walks out with a sword in hand. That actually tells us our runners are going to get sword as their starting weapon. Normally, the uncle has one of 7 attack items that'll get them through the escape sequence, but vanilla sword's always a nice thing to see because you know right off the hand you're at least going to have one of the required items, main required items for attacking.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of the surprise out of there, but other than the hammer, the sword's the only thing you can start with that's essentially infinite ammunition, which is going to make bomb farming very, very easy. Both our runners are going to get through escape, no trouble at
all. Yeah, I definitely expect to see basically hacking and slashing at all these guards, looking for that bomb drop, and we'll see what they get right here. As I only see a single rupee and a single rupee backed by a big 20. So already foreboding maybe some heavy rupee drops in this early seed here.
Yeah, Emerald catching both those green guards with the same slashes. That was slick.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, sometimes you see people just take a little extra time to charge a spin slash to maybe get them both, but yeah, definitely just hitting both of them with a regular slash saves a little bit of time there. So our runners are going to go ahead and head up here, both taking the left path where there are the 3 green guards. Emerald's going to go ahead and charge, hit then, and he gets his bomb drop. Meanwhile, SuperJoshh going on ahead, probably going to opt to get some kills a little further in after getting maybe what's in the first couple chests here. That bomb definitely secures Emerald's chances of checking that side room on his way out of the escape. Hopefully SuperJoshh is able to do the same.
Yeah, so chat makes an interesting question here, and I'm curious now. So you got the sword, but in the vanilla game you get a sword and the fighter shield. If they were to make a randomized weapon and support mode, what support item would you like to get?
That's a very interesting prospect. I like that. Well, I don't know what everyone would count as support, but I'd personally love to see the bottle because that lets you hold just about anything in it that you could use as a safety item, as well as lets you check the sick kid in the beginning. So it's to me a little bit more useful of a first support item to find. How about you?
I think I would say anything that's not a progression. So half magic, bottles, fairies, mail upgrades, shields. I would love to see a mail upgrade to start with. That would just make everything so much easier.
That definitely would. And on that, I guess it also depends on what you get as that first item. If you say get the fire rod or the cane, seeing half magic wouldn't be too bad because you get that free refill. So it looks like SuperJoshh is opting to go ahead and just get a few slashes in there, while Emerald took the tried and true pot strats over there, just throwing a couple pots.
Yeah, 8 sword slashes versus 2 pots. The sword slashes are only mildly faster.
Yeah, and that's assuming you don't get knocked back by that ball and chain, which can be brutal if you're not ready for it. These runners are pretty experienced with that, so he took him out no problem. Didn't really lose any time there.
Josh still gonna have to farm for those bombs though. Probably not gonna do any more of the green guards. The green guards, blue guards, the ropes, everything's in different price pools with randomized items. So if you don't find what you're looking for in one price pool, you just run past them and try your luck with the next one.
Right, and in the sewers here, we're going to be seeing those rats scurrying around. So yeah, he's probably waiting to see what they're going to have for him. I more often not see a lot of rupees from those rats. They're hoarding them down there in the basement, but you never know what you're going to get. So as you said, when you check the prize pool, you don't like what you see, move on, make the next check. So, and especially since they only take 1 sword slash to kill, and with the sword, like you said, infinite ammo, very, very easy to kill quite a few of those and get hopefully a nice drop.
So already having 1 key, we're going to see either an item or map in our first dark sewer chest. Really hoping for a triple bomb. That'll make things nice and even for both our runners.
Definitely, definitely. And that would also mean that SuperJoshh could kind of bypass farming any more of these enemies here. And we get a map on Emerald's end there. So while SuperJoshh actually gets his 8 bomb drop, that's really, really nice because he's even got bombs for Kakariko now.
That is an excellent drop. He's basically set for at least the next half hour as far as bombs are concerned.
Yeah, until you start seeing a bunch of bombs in the chests, it's a little hectic wondering where you're going to get your next bomb, or if you're going to have to spend the extra cash to get it. So as Emerald heads up here, he's going to go ahead and throw the bomb into the side of the wall there, and we'll get to see what these 3 chests are. All right, looks like nothing really too nice heart container for early game. Definitely pads their health a bit, but other than that, just a little bit of pocket change for Kakariko and a bomb upgrade for having the few bombs that they have now.
Well, Emerald still has the possibility that find bombs on a tree pole or on the bush crab or one of the lost woods items, but otherwise he's going to have to make the walk of shame down to the bottom of Kakariko to actually purchase bombs. Hyrulean capitalism at work.
Indeed. Oh, looks like he's taking a save and quit right after checking that sanctuary chest. He may decide that he wants to route differently, knowing that he has a lack of bombs and that he might, want to go somewhere else that's easier to check without bombs.
That's an interesting play. This is, I don't think I've actually seen this before in the standard mode, but this is a common opening for open mode tournaments.
Yeah, and I think he's actually, I know there's some bombs that could be in these bushes here, and I think that's what he's checking for. Sure enough, he gets one of his bombs right there. Unfortunately, probably going to need a couple more than that, but at least he's got one to get him started. Now, using that south route, he'll actually be able to check this race here and see what this has early, just a bomb upgrade. Meanwhile, SuperJoshh pulls that tree, and if I saw correctly, those were just some extra little health refills. And a piece of heart behind the lumberjacks, while Moon Pearl was right there in the library. So Emerald's got that early knowledge now that he's definitely going to need them boots, and probably going to get them earlier rather than later. Before he can do anything in the Dark World.
Yeah, actually, I think seeing Moon Pearl in the library is a blessing for our runners. It guarantees them they're going to get the boots early. Speaking of which, SuperJoshh finds the boots.
And wow, all right, there you go. There's early.
Wow, so the standard northern Lost Woods route absolutely paying off with both sword progression and the boots. Josh is going to be able to pick up his Moon Pearl. That's only one of the 3 Darkwood Axis items, and the sword is one of the 3 required Agate Tower Axis items. So a lot of possibilities on where the seat's headed.
Yeah, definitely. As they start making their rounds down to Mini Moldorm and such, we'll start to see some stuff open up, I'm sure, as SuperJoshh decides he's going to go ahead and go straight to checking this bonk cave here.
Those bonk rocks are a little bit out of the way, but might as well get them in while they're in logic. Probably not going to be back in that area again until much later in the game. But I like seeing our first male upgrade for Emerald. Even despite having 6 hearts, taking 50% damage reduction is really, really nice early game.
Definitely, definitely. And he also got some extra bombs after purchasing some bombs out of the shop. So little insult to injury there, but hey, at least he's set on bombs.
Fortunately, he had that 5 bomb capacity upgrade, so they didn't go to waste.
Picking up a bottle from the bottle vendor and immediately heading over to Sick Kid to find his lantern. So we won't really have to worry about any darkroom strats this seed, it looks like.
No dark rooms. But
Yeah, it's always a nice feeling when you know, okay, I don't have to worry about strats I may be uncomfortable with, or that could take a little bit out of you.
Chat, let's get our AGA 1 hype going. Runners now have everything they need to complete Agonon's tower and get full Dark World access.
Yep, and that's assuming that we get that run up to the woods there from Emeralds to get his Master Sword and boots. But yeah, we're in no mode about AGA 1, so definitely a prospect to look at there.
Well, having the Moon Pearl boost locked means he's going to run out of locations pretty fast. So if for some reason he doesn't check it now, which it looks like he is, he would have to come back here pretty soon. He may skip. It'd be interesting to see whether Emerald decides to check the Lumberjack Cave item. That's something that a lot of players skip until they get the boots, but once he gets the boots, also knowing that he'll have everything he needs to complete AGA, he might really want to know what that item is.
Yeah, that's a very good point. He may, just head right to the right there, check what it is, and head straight down to Moon Pearl, as he grabs his Master Sword right down here. So, looks like he's going for a save and quit, actually. So he may have something else in mind.
Well, unfortunately, that would have worked out well for him, allowing him to also route in the Bonk Rocks. So he's going to have to come back for that, or maybe he's just checking it from this side.
All right, we have SuperJoshh heading into the library, so he's about to pick up his Moon Pearl, and we'll see where he goes from here. After he's probably going to head and check that race, and then we'll see if he decides to get Ag out of the way, or most likely go ahead and check the rest of the locations, Mini Moldorm and whatnot.
Yeah, those early bombs definitely give Josh a more optimal route to the early game, but other than a 20 or 30-second difference, it doesn't matter too much. And Emerald is checking this item. A little surprised to see it now, but it's good to know.
It could have been in his mind, since he dropped down into that hole, instead of taking the time to jump down, go back up the stairs, climb out, route himself around, he figured a save and quit and run with the boots was maybe a little bit faster.
So we haven't seen a map check yet from either player. Josh, just continuing on with your standard opening move, clearing out the South Shore area. Makes absolute sense with what he has. I expect Emerald's probably going to follow in his footsteps as soon as he picks up his Moon Pearl.
Yes, a lot of early game you see the runners will basically either retrace their steps, be in sync, like you said, checking the same areas. I'm curious to see, what they're going to do after that, because routes could diverge as one decides to check maybe a little more obscure locations like Agina's Cave or Ice Rod, just to ensure that there wasn't anything there progression-wise. Or if they decide to head straight to Aga, like you said, knowing that they have those items, it's nice to know what the Dark World access is.
Well, hookshot on the dam. As soon as they find a glove, that's going to give them logical access to both the front and east side of Light World Death Mountain. More items that can further delay an Aga play. So it would really be nice to see if we find gloves before we're bottlenecked into Aga. I also wouldn't be surprised, well, if we find, same thing with Flute, but we find the flippers and red mail.
And another red mail. So that's early defensive item there, or early defensive advantage that our runners are going to have. They don't have to worry too much about taking a whole lot of damage for just about the entire run, which is always a nice, comfy feeling.
Regardless of the mail, the seat has been extremely generous with health. They're almost full in their first health bar already. It's a shame to see those flippers though. Having the combination of boots and Moon Pearl lets you do the run on water tricks, and those are always so much fun to watch.
Yes, definitely. And we see SuperJoshh heading up to Ice Cave now. So we're going to see if he sets up for that coming out of there. We got a map check just a second ago. I saw that we had a green pendant on the Eastern Palace. Tower of Hera with a blue crystal, and Desert Palace looked like had a blue pendant.
Interesting item there in Ice Rod Cave. Third sword progression. Something that, you know, it looks like Emerald is also going to go up there, but if that was something that they skipped, could probably get through the rest of the game and it wouldn't hurt them too much compared to something like the gloves. So, but it's nice to see Red Mail and Tempered 15 minutes in.
Yeah, definitely. It always makes you feel a little bit better. So it looks like SuperJoshh is going to head on up to check what's under the bridge here. A little bit more of an out-of-the-way spot, but was trying to go ahead and route it in with the ice rod where he can jump down, hit there. If he's checking here, I'd be curious to see if he decides to go ahead and check what's up in Zora's domain.
Well, Zora having an item at this point would be really, really bad for the runners. Without the glove, they can't enter Houlihan to the graveyard, and with the flippers, they can't enter Houlihan through the east of graveyard method. So I actually don't know if there's a way they can get in there. So they also can't lift any of the rocks to farm rupees easily there.
Right. Yeah. Being low on rupees is and heading to Zora can be a little bit of a risk, but it looks like SuperJoshh is going to take that portal and see what at least is in the waterfall cave and possibly on Zora's ledge there.
Well, the big 300 here would be really nice because I don't think they have any good option for rupee farming.
There you go. As soon as you say it, you made it happen.
Put them over the top.
That right there is what you call a commentator's blessing. You don't see that very often. Got another big 20 right there on Zora's ledge. And it looks like Emerald is heading to Aga, deciding that he didn't need to check anymore. He's got his Tempered Sword. He's got all the other required items. Got his Moon Pearl. Let's go ahead and take out Aga now and not have to worry about finding something else. So if SuperJoshh does get progression here, which unfortunately he got another big 20 there, this may be the play.
Well, it's reasonable for Emerald, though maybe a little bit premature. He has Zora and Aegina in the waterfall area, but he also has Sasha's Hut and Eastern, a lot of locations that haven't been checked. If any of those have the progression items, then this 6 minutes invested here into Aga's Tower is going to be a complete time sink.
That's true, but some runners like to hold off doing Eastern Palace until, you know, they get to that Dark Palace mirror and can knock kind of everything out in the eastern portion all in one go. But like you said, it's a little premature of a call, but we'll see if it pays off. And SuperJoshh finding the power gloves, that right there is what he wanted to see.
Yeah, doesn't have any really immediate value other than logically opening up Death Mountain. So that is definitely a place that Josh should check before he goes anywhere else. Old Man item and Spectacle Rock Cave, knowledge of Spectacle Rock, plus the 7 items in Paradox Cave and Spiral Cave. So lots of opportunities for either a second myth upgrade or the hammer. I'm just gonna, you know what, I'm gonna call it at this point. I do not think this is gonna be an Aga required seed.
I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point, but yeah, as we're discovering one item, opening up the next, it's looking less and less like it's going to be Aga required. So Emerald may have pulled the trigger a little bit early, but at the same time, his lack of hesitation could pay off later on, as he will get earlier Dark World access.
Unfortunately, without the hammer, he has to access Dark World all from the pyramid, so that blocks out his southern access. He has access to Pod. Without a Mitts upgrade, he can't check Catfish or even get into the. He'll have to Flipper in order to get into the northern area with the hook shot. So it's Dark World access, but it's very inconvenient Dark World access.
That is true. That is true.
It may ultimately be required, but he has a dozen. I mean, SuperJoshh has a dozen different spots he can still get to. So there's a lot of possibility. And finding the key to Samaria there, excellent progression item. Not in the short term, but getting it out of the way, a relief to most runners.
Indeed, and we'll actually see once we get to the Dark World. I expect to get maybe a map check from Emerald to know what's going to be required. So as long as Turtle Rock or Misery Mire are required, then that's definitely a progression item you want to see.
Well, with 2 pendants in the Light World, at least one of those is absolutely going to be required. So Samaria is a required progression item, but you know, and even before Misery Mire, it does have conveniences. It can be logically required for Ice Palace, and it makes a few other places a little bit easier, like Pod and Skullwoods.
And Emerald having a little bit of a longer AGA 1 fight than you'd like to see, but finishing up nicely, and we're going to see what is on the pyramid as he heads into the Dark World.
So just to answer some questions from chat regarding what can you do in the Dark World without the gloves. You can go north, northern Dark World, by flippering, swimming past the hammer and rock, and then hook-shotting across. Normally you would just use the hammer or the rock. Unfortunately, you can't get the Catfish because there is a rock blocking that path, and it looks like Emerald knows that because he is opting out on Pod and heading directly to northern Dark World.
Yep, and SuperJoshh is taking that route that you expected there, where he's going to pick up the old man, head up to Death Mountain, and with that hook shot, have access to a lot of chests over there in East Death Mountain.
So without the mirror, Emerald can't check Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb, the items that you would ideally route in, given this northern Dark World route. He can check Bumper Cave, and he probably will, but once again, without the cape and the gloves, can't even access that. So, not a lot of really great options for him. He can full clear Thieves Town, and he can check the first couple chests in Skull Woods, but Mitts block a lot of progression.
Indeed, and if he lucks out and the other Mitts is somewhere accessible to him now, then he won't be at too much of a disadvantage. But yeah, you definitely want those gloves, or at least to exhaust a little bit more before heading into Dark World. Now, SuperJoshh sees the Bamos medallion there on the Spectacle Rock Ledge.
Yeah, can't get it yet without the mirror, and we don't know whether it's required yet for Mire or Turtle Rock, or even Ice Palace access. But knowing where that is valuable in and of itself.
Definitely. Having that knowledge, just sometimes a little bit of knowledge goes a long way.
So I definitely agree with what Emerald is doing here. He can get 3 of the 4 items in Thieves Town, and he can also get the crystal. He's pretty much committed to there being progression here by making that AGA play, so you don't want to back out at this point. Like, this is the gamble that you've chosen to follow through on.
And looks like we got another medallion on Death Mountain and the Fire Rod on SuperJosh's end. So that right there is very nice for him to see. An extra medallion, again, you know where one is, you've got one. So right there, good chances that your chances are better that you'll have the medallion, or at least know where it is for the upcoming dungeons that are going to be required. And Fire Rod's always nice to see. I wonder if we're going to get any sort of Misery Mire tech that we've recently discovered.
Nice bomb jump from SuperJoshh to avoid a second climb up here. We saw the floating island item, a full heart container, so probably going to opt out on that for the rest of the game. And just finishing off Spiral Cave here, he will be done on Lake World Death Mountain, but Emerald picked up half magic. I really love half magic.
Yes, definitely. So I don't know if it's worth the early Dark World access, but it's definitely a nice item to have.
Well, not finding the key progression items, another lift upgrade or the hammer, SuperJoshh now I think is in a much more reasonable position here. His only options left are Eastern Palace or Aegina's Cave. So making the Aga play here makes a lot of sense. And this is going to be really good for Josh because he has more than Emerald does. Fire Rod will let him get all the items in Skull Woods. The glove will let him go to Catfish if he wants to. So he's got a little bit more options by postponing this.
Indeed, and like you said, yeah, he'll be able to check a lot more on his way. If Emerald here does find something, then he can probably work his way backwards. It may put off him checking what was behind Shash's closet there. But
yeah,
hopefully we'll see where he ends up after he fights blind and sees what he gets here.
Well, ultimately, this is going to, balance out the time that Emerald has already invested in the Dark World. The optimizations that Josh has are minor, and doing one backtrack here for Emerald isn't that catastrophic there. He knows how to full clear Thieves Town without the myths, by killing all the enemies in that room there. So I always like to see that.
Yeah, notice he has found the key, and I wasn't counting the exact number of items he got, but he doesn't have hammer, so he won't be able to check what's in that big chest.
Yeah, at least one item left. I don't know if there's two, and I also wasn't counting.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what blind gives him, and then he'll know whether or not he has to come back at any point when he's got that hammer. Now, the blind fight, for those who don't know, it's not necessarily scripted, but it's very pattern. You can figure out a very nice pattern for defeating him. No matter what weapon you use, a single hit will do a single hit of damage to him, and it takes 3 hits per head and 3 heads, so 9 hits and the battle is over just like that.
Yeah, other than taking the damage there, that was an almost perfect blind fight.
And looks like he got arrow drops there, so probably will not be coming back to check what was in that big chest.
We did get a really quick inventory check, a menu there. So we did see that he has all the dungeon items. There is one item left in that big chest. Whether he comes back for it or not probably will depend on whether he finds himself bottlenecked. Wow, I didn't realize that was his first check of the brewery there. That would have been awful if that hammer was in there. I think you always want to check those 3 Village of Outcast locations just in case the hammer's there.
Right. So we're going to get our first look at the digging game here, see how many digs it takes him to get it. It's randomized in here in Randomizer, but the same amount of digs will be guaranteed for both of our runners on the first try of this game.
So Emerald here is going to complete his Southern Dark World route to Stumpy, not able to check K45 without a mirror. Instead of blue cane. Ugh. Indignant
Not
game.
not that great of an item. It's a nice safety item if taking a lot of damage in a fight and you have plenty of magic, especially with half magic. He'll be able to survive a little bit longer, but not a required item. Not really something you want to see when you're looking for progression, especially if you took the early jump to Dark World through Aga before checking all of the Light World.
Yeah, assuming we don't find Mitz or Hammer in Hype Cave, he's going to be faced with, well, he's going to have to save and continue, and then it's basically Pod or the Eastern area at that point. You know, or like finishing up the Light World things, Eastern, Zora, etc.
Right.
Where would you go? Would you go in the Pod at this point?
Well, without Bo, it's a very, very tough call. Like you said, he's kind of committed to this this early jump that he's made. And if you don't have Bo, you don't have Hammer, it's a very tough call to go in there, but you can at least see if it's Bo locked. So, I mean, I'd go ahead and take the dip. Why not?
I think he's gonna kind of say Dark World is dead to him for the moment, and assume that he missed something in the Light World. Kind of finish rounding up these Light World areas.
So he took a dip down, almost like he was going to check Agina's cave, and then decided he was going to wrap around and go check the flipper location. So we're going to see him hop down here, and looks like he's going towards that Zora portal.
Yeah, he did pick up money in his Dark World trip at least, so this won't be a double dip Zora for him.
And he may see that extra 300 come up and go, oh, well, the rupees don't matter anymore.
Well, that 300 will definitely be important if he decides to head over to Pod, because Zora will put him under his 110 for Kiki.
That is true. That is true. And we're getting just bomb upgrade from Catfish. So him missing that on his Emerald missing that on his first trip through isn't, we find out, too major. But again, he doesn't know that, and he's probably now just saying, well, I didn't get much from Dark World. Yeah, let me look around and see, and he may go back and check that later.
Yeah, I think after Zora, he's probably going to check the Eastern area or Agina's cave. I definitely don't think he's going to head back to Dark World quite so soon. SuperJoshh, on the other hand, having done all those, is following Emerald's Dark World path. But we know this isn't going to open up any new progression unless there's something in Skullwoods, which is the only area that Emerald didn't check.
Right, and with Fire Rod, he may say, well, the seed gave me Fire Rod, maybe I should just dip in and check. But as a pendant dungeon, I wouldn't really expect him to make that decision quite yet, as there's still plenty to check in Thieves Town, in the Village of Outcasts, and then making his way down to the Hype Cave area.
Just an arrow upgrade on Bumper Cave, so no need to come back there.
Again, just any little bit of knowledge definitely helps out. And Emerald is heading into the eastern portion, so he's about to hop into the closet here, and he will find his gloves. Probably kick himself after that, going, I should have had this first. But seeing as Dark World didn't really have too much that he missed out on, you know, it's still anyone's game as far as this goes.
Well, Emerald might still be thinking, having just found those gloves, he's probably thinking that the Aga play was a mistake and the hammer is accessible in Eastern or on Agina somewhere. You know, unless we haven't seen Eastern from either player, so that is still possible.
I believe one of them did hop in earlier. I saw that we had a big key in that first compass chest, and I didn't see how far we had gone after that.
Josh must have gone in then. I stand corrected.
All right, so now it looks like we have our runners basically kind of dipping in, retracing each other's steps. SuperJoshh going straight to Thieves Town, a little bit better equipped for it, but not much of an advantage over what Emerald had coming in. And Emerald is gonna go ahead and check out the Eastern Palace, and we'll see what he finds. Yeah, so there was that big key chest right there. Yeah, and just to point out what Chad is talking about, in Pod, depending on what you find in that first bottom left chest in the basement, you could determine if you require the bow for the beginning to continue getting through. If you find a key, obviously you can go through the key door and you're just fine. But if you don't, then you need the bow to go to the right side and kill the mimics. Now, regardless if you do that to check the items in the dungeon, you will still eventually need the bow, regardless if you got early access to anything else or not, just because there is a statue that you must shoot with the bow in order to unlock the last part of the dungeon. So that's why that it ends up being a required item for that dungeon. And a lot of runners will wait until they have the bow to go ahead and hop in to Palace of Darkness because of that. But some runners will jump in, check that first chest. If they get a key, then they can check a little bit more without requiring that bow immediately. SuperJoshh finding his map upstairs, so now he knows how to get his way to save the little girl who suddenly turns into blind on us. And Emerald, not finding anything he wanted in Eastern Palace, saves and quits, and decides to start over at the Sanctuary. So this is making me think he's gonna, after getting those gloves, go ahead and check out Death Mountain, as it is now in logic for him having that lantern and the power gloves.
Yeah, absolutely makes the most sense. He's got all of the items that Josh was already able to pick up there. Probably still looking for an alternate Dark World access method.
Right, either that Titan's mid upgrade or the hammer at this point, since he has the power gloves. And we got that map check from SuperJoshh in the dungeon. Since he picked up the map earlier, maybe he wanted to see where things were at. Usually that is not a required thing, so it may have just been a missed input. But I always like to think that after the map gets picked up by the runner in the dungeon and they accidentally do a map check, it's fun to kind of think that, oh, I picked up the map, let me see where I'm going.
So across both runners, the only in logic places that they haven't been that I can think of offhand are the Skullwoods, two Skullwoods items, and the Aegina Cave items. Any that you can think of?
Well, as we were talking about in chat earlier, it looks like, I mean, depending on what that first chest is in Pod, the seed could be mean to them and require them to take that dip into Pod without a bow or hammer, and give you a key in that first chest, unlocking a couple other items that would lead to progression.
I don't know how I just forgot the entire Palace of Darkness, but I somehow managed to.
It's not on everybody's mind at this point in the run, but as the options narrow down, yeah, you never know where they're going to go. So seeing as Emerald's been, you know, around the Dark World, he's now checking his overworld, hoping he didn't miss something and do Aga early. I'd expect to see him check Aegina's Cave here very shortly after his Death Mountain climb.
Yeah, I think once you find the gloves at Sasha's, you have to assume that you've made a mistake. We know that both runners have done the same things. So if there is an item at Aegina's Cave, both of them missed it, which works out very well for Emerald making that early gamble. But he doesn't get to know that until he watches the VOD.
Yeah, and in that situation, definitely in a race setting, oh, just missing that bomb. I think he was 1 pixel too high there. Oh, he's going to attempt to go for it again.
Trying again, yeah.
All right, respect to him, respect to him. But oh, accidentally taking another
He's
fall.
got 12 bombs left.
And plenty of health, but deciding he's going to go ahead and say, "No, I'm done." But yeah, when you're in a race setting and you find some early or easily accessible item that leads to major progression like that, you start thinking, "Uh-oh, my opponent may have done this. I'm behind," and you feel constantly that pressure of playing the catch-up game, whether or not it's true. And that could definitely affect how he decides to route his decisions. Maybe he doesn't want to miss anything else and becomes a little more careful. Maybe he decides to take more gambles in order to make up some of that time he thinks he's lost. So it's going to be interesting to see the route that he decides to take.
I agree with everything except the maybe. I think you assume that I think you feel that your opponent definitely got that item.
That's true. Well, there is always well, maybe I have hope they made the same mistake I did. Seeing the early items that led, like, early sword progressions, early tempered sword. Oh, okay, maybe it wants me to do that. We'll see where it leads. Okay, early moon pearl. Okay, you start getting these items that make you think, maybe I need to take that risk. Maybe I need to take that risk. And my opponent did the same thing, but in Randomizer, you never know.
Well, that's synced up nicely. Emerald finishing his Death Mountain just as Josh finished up in Dark World. I think Josh is only ahead right now by a catfish check.
Yep, and as we know, there wasn't really much there. So depending on if Emerald goes and checks that a little bit later, right now they're pretty synced up. And both...
Looks like he's checking it right now.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, they both head straight to the Dark World. Emerald's going to go over and check his catfish, while SuperJoshh looks like he's heading down to the Palace of Darkness.
Man, poor Regina. He is so hard to route in, but he's easier to route in than the catfish.
Definitely, yeah. That definitely would have been a check that I would have done first. But then again, I'm not the runner, and he has a better record than me, so I wouldn't doubt that maybe he thinks this is the play he's got to make. Especially since this got unlocked via having those gloves, whereas Zagina, he was always sitting there. Ooh, not happy with that bomb upgrade, taking a save and quit, starting back at the house. Maybe he's going to check it now.
Well, heading back into the Dark World, so looks like he's also making the pot play.
Indeed. So we'll get to see what's here in this first chest. I'd expect it to be, with the limited progression items we've got, I'd expect this to be the small key.
Well, it's most likely usually a small key, so we do get to continue and at least see 2 more locations in this dungeon. I know chat was speculating whether they would attempt to bypass the Bullock section using the potion glitch. I see they have 2 bottles, but I don't know what they are. Do you happen to remember?
I believe one of them was a potion of some kind. The bottle vendor, I believe, had a blue potion. I'm not sure what the other one was. So if they decide to do this, I see right there in SuperJosh's screen that they do indeed have a blue potion. So it's possible they could attempt it.
That would not surprise me at all, being able to otherwise full clear this dungeon and maybe skip ahead a little bit on the progression, but they can sneak up in the back.
Well, without having the bow, they wouldn't necessarily full clear to the point of killing the boss, but they would be able to check all of the remaining items.
Alright, that's what I meant. So finding another small key, Josh can still continue here on the back, as long as he's not blocked by the big key. He'll be able to clear everything here in the back.
And I see Emerald's heading down to the Mimic side, so he may be looking to attempt this potion glitch here. opting to use the green instead of the blue, saving the blue for a possible health boost he may need later.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense, and he pulls it off successfully, getting the camera to get the mimics off the screen.
Right, so for those who aren't aware how that works, basically, if you use a potion on that prior screen below, as you're walking along the wall there, it can mess up the camera just a little bit enough to basically make it to where it thinks that you can move the camera to the other room, you move the mimics off screen, and it thinks that they're dead and opens the door.
So, Pod was our progression. Josh picking up the hammer in the back of Pod.
That's a very good find. Very good find. Opens up a lot of stuff now. They don't have to worry about specifically where to access the dark world, as they've got the power glove, or as he has the power glove and the hammer. So yeah, assuming that Emerald finds his here soon, that could be open it up a lot for our runners.
Yeah, and fortunately for Josh, he was able to check all the accessible items because all there was one small key in that bow locked section. So the only thing that's locked to him is the boss at this point, which was also bow locked. So both runners will have all the items out of this dungeon. Unfortunately, that's just a mushroom and the hammer, but the hammer makes up for the mushroom. So interesting. I was gonna say that was an interesting play from Josh.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was doing there, so I figured let's see what he's doing. He may have something in mind that we don't. But opting to remember that he has the save and quit spot for the Death Mountain after rescuing the old man.
Yeah, looks like he wants to check the Hera items or Spike Cave. That's all that's opened up to him with the hammer here.
Yep, following what the seed is giving him, getting one progression. Let me see what that unlocks and go check it out immediately. Still yet to check Agina's cave though, so that's always on the table. But the runners will usually go for chests per minute, check how many things they can check as quickly as possible. So heading up to Tower of Hera, definitely not a bad play. There is only 2 items there, but like you said, if he hops down to Spike Cave, having that Cane of Burna and the blue potion and half magic should make it through no problem, and have an extra chest to check on his way.
I'm absolutely gonna laugh if Agina has the second lift upgrade.
It wouldn't be the first time he's trolled a runner or two. We get the golden sword in Tower of Hera. That's interesting. So yeah.
Still early enough in the game where it actually does make a little bit of difference, and it's definitely worth picking up if it's that easy.
Right, and probably happy not to see a small key right off the bat. SuperJoshh finds the big key in that chest there, so he does not have to go down to Tile Room quite yet.
Yeah, in a crystal Hera, you would absolutely want the big key to be in the basement, so you know that any time you invest is going to be required by your opponent as well. But I think in a pendant Hera, where going here at all is a gamble.
You just want to get in and get out.
You want to keep that basement open as another gamble, but he finds both items there, so he's done with Hera if he doesn't want the pendant.
Yeah, well, he may be thinking, I just got the golden sword. I'm 1 or 2 floors away. Let me go ahead and just take him out in case I end up needing the pendant. If the seed's been kind of trolly with its placements of certain items, he may think that, hey, having that pendant right now isn't going to cost me too much time and may save me a bunch of time later on in the run.
Well, I think he absolutely will just kill Moldona at this point, just in case it's a pedestal required seed.
And Emerald is going to go ahead and head up to the Skull Woods area, so we'll get to see what is in those two chests. And seeing as it's a pendant dungeon, both our runners opting to check pendant dungeons, knowing that there wasn't much left to do, and just going again for those chests per minute.
Yeah, Josh, remembering he can get the Spike Cave, it's easy to forget. And there's really no better time than now to check it. When you're coming out of Hera, and this is a place you're going to have to save and quit from anyway, very efficient route. So, no items and skulls yet.
And yeah, as Chet's pointing out, Flute right now isn't necessarily going to unlock extra locations for our runners. They do not have the Titan's Mitts, so they can't check outside Misery Mire. But we definitely know it will be required at some point, so it's always good to kind of find it and get that peace of mind. You know where it's at, as well as if he goes and unlocks it, the duck right now, he will be able to move around the world a little bit quicker, turning in that mushroom to get that early fetch quest check, and just overall save a little bit of time in movement.
Well, Josh doing the fake powder here before he turns his mushroom in. Definitely a safe play. You don't want to find out that pedestal has the powder on it. And progression isn't bad.
I'm sure chat would like to see otherwise, but yeah, making the smart play like you said, and just and knowing what's available to him too. A lot of people will forget, that they pick up the mushroom. It's a fetch quest. It's out of the way. I don't want to worry about that right now, and we'll forget that they even have it.
Looks like he's having a little trouble with it. Third attempt and fourth attempt. You have to fully deplete your magic, use the Key of Samaria, and then immediately switch to Mushroom and use the Mushroom, and the game will think that it's using the powder because it's on the same item slot. But Emerald finding the mirror there in Skull Woods. Skull Woods is their next progression, and Magic Bat is just a heart container.
Yep. Having that heart that heart container, it's a little bit more health, but not what he's looking for now. That mirror definitely unlocks a lot of places to check in the overworld for our runners. And seeing as they have flippers, hookshot, and mirror, along with hammer, they can do Swamp Palace now, which always has a lot of delicious items inside of it, with 6 whole chests to check.
Yeah, swamping a crystal would make that a very valuable next play. Josh turning in his mushroom, really smart to route in the fake powder, I think, when he did. I'm not a mushroom has anything to make this trip worthwhile.
Now, Emerald getting a little low on health there, but knowing he has the red mail, and as long as he didn't touch the spikes, that he was only going to take a little bit less damage there, and goes ahead and picks up his pendant. So each runner with a single pendant, each from a different location. If this is indeed a pedestal required seed, at least both of our runners will have one pendant, keeping them pretty evenly matched.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if, Emerald might head up and do Hera as well now, since he has a shortcut to get there, get the same 3 items that Josh did. Although the Crystal Swamp is definitely the more appealing play. Josh, on the other hand, is basically limited to only Swamp. Only Skull Woods at this point.
Yep, finding the blue boomer there in the Agina's cave. So our hopes of him holding out on us the whole time didn't really look like he had anything useful.
No, that officially makes Aga our required Dark World access. rolling out the last potential place could be. And
Yep.
I like this Emerald doing the same strat over here, also doing the fake powder.
Yeah, the advantage here is that he's got the mirror, so he was able to make his way through the dark world. He's going to do his fake powder, and then he may go right back into that portal and decide to. Well, I guess if he's already checked all of Thieves Town.
Unfortunately, Fire Rod was the fastest way to get rid of that magic.
Yeah, opting to go the slower route, but to each their own.
So Josh is not going to be too far behind. Doing a very quick clear of Skullwoods here, and potentially even just finding the mirror and then exiting.
That is true, but seeing as he went ahead and finished Tower of Hera, I'm curious to see if he's going to go ahead and, okay, I've got the mirror, and I'm right here, and I've got one pendant in case I need it. Let me grab two. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either way. I could see why he would make the choice he would.
Well, given that you would be picking up that Mothula pendant at the exact place that you need to turn it in, coming back here later really isn't the inconvenience that coming back to Hera would be. So if he wants to go somewhere with that mirror, then I can definitely see him opting out of it.
Looks like Emerald is going to go ahead and check what is on the mirror ledge here, and probably going to hop down to King's Tomb as well. So we'll get to see what's in there. Yeah, having that mirror unlocked there, he's probably thinking. As I said, I would personally head into the Swamp Palace as it's a crystal, it's progression, and you've got all the items for it. But he may be thinking that if I could just check a couple more overworld locations, get any sort of advantage going into there, I won't have to come back and check it later.
And these two locations are, a little bit easy to route in coming out of Skullwoods, so totally makes sense here. Josh pulled off the nice bootless bomb jump there. Only 2 pixel margin of error, but he got it his first try.
Looks like we don't have anything useful in King's Tomb there.
Yeah, so back to the Dark World for Emerald. Not sure where he's headed at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say that he may have in mind that if he saves and quits right there, that he's already killed Aga and has the mirror now, so he would just start right back on Pyramid. But it looks like he's trying to route in the mushroom and opting to go to the light world and then cross the bridge really quickly instead of swimming across.
Oh, that's right. He hasn't picked up the flute.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to go to Kakariko to unlock it, and then I realized, yeah, he hasn't picked it up yet, as he didn't head to Tower of Hera, and that's where it was found at.
Yeah, I was just thinking why he didn't use the flute over, but not having the flute is a very, very good reason not to do that.
So it does look like SuperJoshh is going to go ahead and finish off Mothula there. Actually, I don't think he checked the chest underneath. I think he headed straight to Mothula and probably decided that he was going to check the chest afterwards, because if Mothula has the item, then he was done checking. But without the mirror, he's probably wanting to wait as long as possible before checking that last location.
That makes sense, because he would have had to Death Orb out, and it would give him less health than he already had. So it makes sense to fight Mothula when you have more health.
Unfortunately, that means that if he wanted to death warp out of there, he's going to get a full health refill from killing the boss right here. But he may also be opting to save and quit after this. So we'll see where he goes, as Emerald picks up his golden sword as well. So now both of our runners have plenty of firepower and plenty of defense.
Yeah, probably was intending to save and quit, because this was basically a terminal route for him. But the mirror will probably make him pause for a second and think, oh, I have new options. Where do I go?
Yeah, it definitely opens a lot.
And having the flute there means he can immediately take advantage of it. I think for him, Swamp Palace is probably... I mean, he could check the boost lock locations coming out of here as well. That's another option. So it looks like we're getting the same Graveyard Ledge King check from Josh.
Yep. So Emerald is now heading back towards the Kakariko area.
Activate his flute.
That's right, he just picked up his flute. Yep.
All of you guys who like to celebrate the flute noise, here's your chance.
Yeah, and that's a good point, actually, chat's bringing up. Emerald opted not to go ahead and kill Trolldorm there. Moldorm, as we know, didn't have anything, but he figured, hey, I got my flute, I got my golden sword, those are the two items, there's no reason for me to finish this, and decided to go ahead and head out.
Well, I'm looking at the items here. So what could we still need that could be on pedestal? Just the ice rod and quake?
Yes, unless for some reason the book ended up being on the pedestal, and we needed the book to get one of those items from the pedestals. Or from the tablets, excuse me.
Yeah, that's true. Mitts can be on the pedestal. Yeah, that would be, wow, wouldn't that be value?
So Emerald is going to go ahead and hop into Swamp Palace here, which I feel, again, is a very strong play. There's plenty of items in here, and it is progression, so he's going to check this out, and we'll see what we get out of here as he clears this. I'm curious to see. Some runners like to do the you know, they've already got the hook shot. Let me route in, kill the boss, and then determine if I need to do left side. What do you think he's going to do here?
I think Josh is heading the same direction, just doing a K45 check on the way. This being the ice rod is absolutely a required check, so that's really, really nice that he routed that in. Emerald, I think with the number of things that he's looking for, is probably going to make a full clear. Whether he does back first and comes back in, or does left first, doesn't make too much of a difference. But I do expect him to get every item out of here.
And if he was keeping those mirror locations in mind, Emerald could have decided that he wants to route in K45 after the Swamp Palace, since he came from up top. So it'll be interesting to see if when he decides to make that check. As you said, it's definitely a required check, because we need to be able to kill Trinex.
Hopefully he does decide to check it, coming out of a swamp, because unless he comes back here for something else, there's not going to be any better time. And Ice Rod being able to be anywhere in the entire game except on Trinex or in Ganon's Tower at this point means that he could check a lot of locations if he doesn't check that quickly.
Indeed, that may end up being that one quote-unquote trolley item that version 29 likes to give runners a lot of times. I know personally, I've had many times where I get a lot of stuff in the beginning and I'm hunting for that one item as well as other runners. So if he puts off that check and decides to go all the way around, that could end up being his last item. To answer a question in chat, the ice rod was in cave 45, which is that cave right below the grove in the light world that you have to have the mirror to get to.
Yeah, that's my bad there. You do so many of these and you start to forget that there's people who don't know what the inside terms are. But yeah,
right.
The ID used internally by the randomizer, and cave south of the grove is a better name for it.
Yeah, but everyone's come to just know it as K45, so that's how it's often referred to. Getting a fetch quest item there on the left side of Swamp. Both our runners are actually in Swamp now, so they're pretty synced up with their checks. But fetch quest item, the shovel. Wonder what if that's gonna be anything useful for us.
Well, that is actually a great item for Emerald to find because he'll probably head up to turn that in immediately. Since he has the mirror and route in cave 45 at the same time.
That's actually a very good point. Yeah, because you always want to go for where there's more item checks, and so yeah, if you got the shovel and you know you didn't check 45, that's 2 checks you can make very quickly after this dungeon. So hopefully we see him head that way.
Hopefully, potentially the worst location just became one of his best efficient routes. In doing the left side, I think was inevitable because 2 items being over there, he wasn't going to leave the dungeon with 2 items left. 1, you might gamble, but not 2. So both are runners very close. Josh finding the mitts a few seconds before Emerald finds it.
Right. Wow. So both of our runners now have those mitts. That pretty much opens up the rest of locations in terms of checking for things. They can now fly over to Misery Mire, lift that rock if they want quick access from Kakariko Village Dark World. They can flute on over there and lift that rock. So definitely a lot opened up there. Curious though, Josh actually did not go on the left side. So wondering if after finding the mitts, he may think that's a good enough find and not check the rest of it. But I'd be surprised to see that.
Well, it's going to be a little bit more efficient for him because he's going to find the big key. I mean, in the back or on, or I guess I didn't see if he picked it up already, but he's going to have to come back in anyway for the big chest. But yeah, finding the mitts there's a lot of incentive just to blow off those last 2 spots. It could go either way. If the shovel doesn't lead to anything, then it's not going to end up costing you anything.
And there was a big key right there. Emerald taking it a little bit more careful, just taking a little bit of extra damage, but now that he's through that first phase, a couple spin attacks, and he should have this fight cleaned up.
So I wasn't counting items. I don't know if the big chest also has an item or if that's a dungeon item.
I'll be honest with you, I actually wasn't either. But we know for a fact that the shovel was on the left side, so SuperJoshh should have the knowledge that there is still something in there. And opting to go ahead and just flute straight on over to Misery Mire location, the desert.
Well, this this is not good for Emerald. I was really
Oh.
hoping Shovel was going to lead him into P45, but it seems to be he's also opting to go to Mire.
Those gloves seem to be calling to the runners, saying, "Hey, go check this. Hurry up! You can now lift this rock. You got the flute. You got the mitts. Let's go." And they were heading straight there. So getting a quick check, it is Quake that is required. So that's the last medallion. I don't actually know if we have seen it from either of our runners. We know where the other two are, but I don't recall seeing either.
I'm trying to remember if we saw a medallion sitting out somewhere.
Well, we had that Death Mountain ledge.
That was the bomb. Yeah, that was the Bombos
and
one.
that was the Bombos.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, and then, okay, so looks like, yeah, they're both not able to get in. So after making the check to the checkerboard cave and that shed, they are now both heading into Desert Palace. Both runners making very, very similar decisions here.
Yeah, both of our runners have a potential, you know, gotcha though. Emerald, you know, may not find the ice rod, which we know is a required progression item. Josh, on the other hand, not having done left side swamp, if the shovel leads to a progression like the bow, that could put him in an equally difficult situation. So really what we want to know, same thing with Quake, we want to know where Quake and the bow are, and then we'll be able to judge how messed up the situation is for these guys.
Yeah, because right now, like you said, they both have something probably that'll stick in the back of their minds when they find one of those items. So we will see. It's definitely anyone's race at this point. There's no clear ahead or not.
I think Josh, I mean, if you have to give someone an edge, I would say Josh has the edge because he at least has the ice rod versus there maybe being progression at shovel.
Right, but with quite a few, right, with quite a few locations left to check though, I'm sure that Emerald's, while they're searching for that Quake and that bow, Emerald may end up heading over there, but we'll see how it plays out.
After, I think for, what was the Turtle Rock pendant? We haven't seen that yet because we haven't had Dark World access with the mitts. I think finding out that Turtle Rock pendant and picking up the 6 Dark Death Mountain items makes a lot of sense for both our runners, especially for Josh. If it's a pendant that he has, he can go in there and full clear the dungeon.
That is a good point. And if we have something waiting for us there on, say, Laser Bridge, or now that they have the mirror in Mimic Cave, then yeah, that would definitely give him more incentive to head that way and get a little bit of an edge here in this race.
That's absolutely, I think, the best play for Josh. Emerald, he has to weigh not being able to get into Turtle Rock. He might gamble ice rods in there. For him, I think doing a full clear of Ice Palace is probably the safest next progression. But we get some Crystal Sync, so those are my guesses. We're gonna get our answers from the runners themselves.
All right, so we got a flute from SuperJoshh as Emerald's heading back into... Oh, he never checked his checkerboard cave, so he's going to do that real quick before making his next move, while SuperJoshh is actually, looks like heading towards Ice Palace. At this point, he's probably thinking, yes, I could go up to Dark Death Mountain, but I could full clear a required Crystal Dungeon. So, it's always tempting to go check, well, what if the seed's doing this to me? What if the seed's doing that? But if you have a dungeon you can full clear, it's always best idea to go ahead and clear it out, because if you don't find anything, worst case scenario, you still made some progression.
Yeah, it's a little bit inconvenient to full clear this one versus, go mode it later, but not so much that it makes it not worth doing. So absolutely a very good play. Turtle Rock may numerically be a slightly better play, but it's still giving him a crystal, and it's still progression he knows he can do.
And finding the bug net in there, so we'll see if he utilizes that at all during the Aga 2 fight later on for some swag points, just because. And Emerald heading over to Dark Kakariko with the Titan's Mitts that now unlocks the Hammersmith's quest line, as well as being able to check the Peg Cave. So I'm wondering if he's opting to go ahead and check some overworld locations first, and we'll see how he routes that in if he decides to check other stuff along the way.
He also has one item in Thieves' Town itself, which he still can pick up.
That is true. They did not have the hammer when he first came through. So if he decides to dip into there, he could do that. But I don't believe once you pick up the frog that you're allowed to head into there. So he may be waiting until after he drops him off, or just skipping out, gambling that it's not going to be in there.
With the mirror, he'll be done this chain quickly. Just a ruby on the Smith. Josh having a little trouble setting up this bomb jump there. Gets it his third try. Not really necessary if you're doing a full clear, but if he gets lucky and finds something, he might opt to just go ahead and complete the dungeon with 1 or 2 items obtained.
Right, yeah, some runners will go ahead, do the bomb jump, kill Cold Stare, and then decide if they've got to come back in, depending on if he had anything or not. Just makes it a little bit quicker if you don't have to go back in there. Not quite a go mode, but or as fast as go mode, but definitely a little bit quicker. Emerald is going to go ahead and pick up the purple chest now as well.
If you're good at doing the bomb jump, it absolutely makes sense. Just to give a real world example, I was doing a race earlier, and I didn't do the bomb jump because I was doing a full clear. I got my progression in the freezer room, but I still had to open the big chest for a key in order to finish it out. So, doing the bomb jump, if you're comfortable with it, can definitely save you time if you find what you're looking for.
Yep, and Emerald is checking the shovel location on his way, so hopefully we see him hop down to K45 right here as well. Nice routing on his end to go ahead and start in Kakariko and just work his way south while checking all the locations in between, which will hopefully in turn get him that ice rod.
And indeed it does. He's headed there. Normally I think you would probably flute and turn in the chest because this is because you can't dash with it, but this routing option is working out in his favor and saving him the trolliest item. He's very happy with that.
Definitely.
So at this point, I don't think there's any reason to go back in the Dark World. You could just flute down into 7, turn this in. If you had the book, then checking bombos would be his next step. But
Yeah, sometimes I know I've done that out of habit, where I'm just used to, let me check that. I'm used to go here, make sure I'm in the Dark World, and don't forget. If you go to K45 and jump down off that, go to the Light World and jumped off the ledge, you can't get your portal back, and you're like, now I gotta go back to the Dark World. So he may have been thinking, let me grab the portal. Oh wait, I didn't need it. Let's flute out.
Well, it only cost him a few seconds, no big deal.
And he's heading to Death Mountain, so I think he's making that play that you were hoping for earlier.
There's a 2/3 2/3 chance that he can get into this dungeon, and if he can, it's it's a great dungeon to full clear because it's not much faster to go mode than it is to do a full clear.
And additionally, he'll get to check these extra chests here in the Dark World that they didn't get to check before. So we got Super Bunny Cave, we've got Hookshot Chest, or Hookshot Cave, and even if he can't get into Turtle Rock, get some information on what is required. So
I'll probably see Josh head up here right behind Emerald, having cleared Ice Palace and not found any good progression items here. I don't consider the net to be progression, despite what chat may wish.
yeah, it doesn't unlock anything, doesn't do anything. I mean, the best you get out of it, besides some swag, is the ability to catch some safety fairies if needed. But Josh didn't look like he had any issues with health so far, especially with red mail and all them hearts. I don't expect him to really need that net. So just finding a cave and I believe a heart piece there. Nothing much in Bunny Cave, Super Bunny Cave, but we're going to go ahead and get our hookshot check right here as SuperJoshh is also heading up to Death Mountain. So we'll see where he goes here. I don't recall who made the Spike Cave check, but I believe it was Josh.
It was Josh, and let me know if I'm blowing your ears out. I increased my volume a bit.
Finding the bow in Hookshot Cave. So that's definitely a welcome find.
Yeah, Death Mountain trip definitely paying off.
So SuperJoshh was actually grabbing his Bamos medallion before heading up this way. Actually a very smart move, because if it is required, he would have to come all the way back down, grab that, and then go all the way back up. So he's grabbing it while he's on the front side of Death Mountain, and then heading up so that he can possibly get into Turtle Rock if he needs to. And Ether is the medallion. So Emerald will go ahead and open that up. And since SuperJoshh has Ether, I also expect him to make the same play here. All right, so Emerald's heading over, and we'll get our look here at the first chest, see what we get in here. And it is the Quake medallion, so definitely had to dip into here. Right there in early spot, so I'm curious to see. So, looks like he's going to keep checking here the front, but I wouldn't be against actually hopping out and going to do Misery Mire, because you've already gotten your progression for the next dungeon to full clear, a crystal dungeon.
So what are they just looking for at this point? Nothing.
That's what I was wondering, because I think that's actually a go. I was about to say, because if he hops out right now with that bow, he can complete the Palace of Darkness that he could not before. Ice Palace could be completed, since Emerald has not been that direction yet, and he would be able to go mode that, and then he can hop in and finish Misery Mire. So yeah, I believe Emerald is in go mode right now. With SuperJoshh heading here to Turtle Rock, it looks like he won't be far behind to be into go mode as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, no reason not to finish it at this point.
Well, like you said, go moding Turtle Rock isn't necessarily any much faster than going through it the first time, but the one advantage to hopping out right after that Quake, if he realized that he's in go mode there, he could just mirror straight to the entrance of the dungeon, go over to Misery Mire, complete everything else he needs to do, and then when he comes to Turtle Rock, he's only lost the time it took him to mirror out and go right back into that entrance, and then he would already be up here for the last crystal.
No, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way because once he takes the Dark World portal into Misery Mire or Palace of Darkness, he's gonna lose his portal.
That's actually a good point. I always forget about that. Yeah, because you would have to go back to the east side and climb up, or take the path on going to Tower of Hera and then hammer over. So yeah, you would still lose that time going there.
So the runners have essentially two choices. They know they're in go mode, so they can treat Turtle Rock like a go mode dungeon and skip Laser Bridge. Nope, there's no harm in finishing it while you're here versus coming back. The alternative is, because it was the very first chest, they could just mirror out and come back to Turtle Rock later, but it doesn't really save them anything at that point because they can go mode it either way.
That is true. That is true.
I guess I had some really loud co-commentators because my input volume was down to like 50%.
Interesting. I'll say usually mine is around 50% across the board, and sometimes I'm told I'm quiet, sometimes I'm not. So it definitely depends on kind of the overall settings. Ooh, unfortunately, taking a death there.
Yeah, no fairy either.
Well, he has that net, so why didn't he catch a fairy? Actually, without powder, there's no way to turn those anti-fairies into fairies. He's already turned in his mushrooms, so he can't fake powder them. And there aren't very many fairy locations that aren't out of the way. And without a key, Emerald is going to go ahead and check Laser Bridge. We'll see if he decides to go ahead and just check the rest of the chest for silver arrows while he's here, or if he grabs that key in the first couple chests and decides, I'm just going to get out as quickly as possible.
If you're absolutely trying to, be pure go mode, you skip it. But I don't blame him for checking these last few chests. They're right here, and even powder, let alone silvers, could make things easier for him.
Yep. After taking a fall, though, it looks like he said, I don't need that last chest. I'm just going to go ahead and go. Which, that's perfectly fine, because, yeah, with the golden sword, silverless cannons, if you know what you're doing and you have clean movement, it's not that tough of a fight.
Well, the question is, do we get to see a zero-cycle Trinix fight? I don't know if Emerald knows how to do it or not, but he's got everything he needs for it.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see that. We'll see what he does here.
Not going for it.
Nope.
Still, that's a very nice one cycle, though.
Yeah. Now, I can see why they call it the butter sword, because it makes him melt like butter. Little bit of heart for your trouble. And with that, Emerald has his crystal from Turtle Rock.
So both our runners get go mode Mire. Josh is in Ice Palace ahead, but that's a pretty fast palace to go mode. So I don't think Emerald is too far behind time-wise, and I think they have the exact same completion in pod as well.
Yes, yeah, they both basically hopped in, and when they got to that big chest, they had checked everything they had and got out of there as quickly as they could. So, yeah, it's still anybody's race, but Josh does have the slight advantage, like you said, of having that extra crystal in his inventory. So we'll see here how Emerald's execution decides to make up a little bit of time, and when they meet up in Ganon's Tower, which route they decide to take, if they diverge at all.
Yeah, Josh, still has to finish Turtle Rock though, so that all that Ice Palace time is being offset by his still finishing Turtle Rock.
That is true. I tend to jump to conclusions when both the runners were in the same place, and it's like, okay, he's most of the way through. He'll get it. But yeah, every little bit of time counts at this section. So we'll see here how they meet up. As we have Emerald heading into Misery Mire.
Depending on where the big key is, Mire actually introduces the possibility for some divergences. Vanilla big key chest, is a very time-consuming check. If you head right after hitting the blue switch and you find it in a small chest over there, it's almost like Ganon's Tower, where you can actually see divergence. So no God Mire, and didn't find it in the first chest, but it could still be in the second. All right, come on, Josh. Here's our second chance for Zero Cycle Trinex. You can do it. Misery Mire is going to be a little bit of a jerk with this key, it looks like.
There we go, finishing off those heads pretty quickly. And SuperJoshh has finished his Trinex fight, so he will be rewarded with his heart container and a crystal.
So Emerald going for the full vanilla big key chest. It's gonna be interesting if the key's not here.
Yeah, it means he has to head back and check those chests on the right side, fortunately. Or actually, there's only one chest he hasn't checked over there. And right there, for those who don't know, whenever you push blocks, for the time frame that they're moving, they're actually considered sprites, and other sprites can pass through them. So what you saw Emerald doing there was basically pushing the block and firing a fire rod shot right through that block as it was moving, and thus making that a very, very quick room, which is otherwise vanilla-wise tedious. And finding a vanilla big key for his trouble, so definitely made the right call there by going to that side.
Well, that's pretty much going to eliminate any potential for Josh catching up time in Mire, because he's going to have to do that whole route.
Yeah, that's definitely the worst place you'd want to find it in Randomizer.
But that's what you want if you're ahead, though, and you'll never know. But
right.
It makes your opponent have to at least repeat your steps.
Just like in Tower of Error with the basement, if you know your opponent has to do it, you feel a little bit better about it. But yeah, when you're not sure if you're ahead or behind, it may feel like you're sinking a lot of time into doing something, and you're like, I know he's got to do it too, but what if he already did it?
Yeah, you're gonna want your win to come from good, efficient routing decisions rather than I gambled and got lucky. I mean, it's still a win, but it doesn't feel as good.
And Emerald using the bomb here, we're not going to get to see any of the quick Mire strats from him that were just recently discovered in the last few days here. It's been really interesting to see how quickly that's developed. Do you know anything about the tech for that?
I've seen it done. I've watched the tutorial video. I've yet to be able to reproduce it myself. I only tried it for a little bit before my race today. It's definitely nice. I can see how something it can consistently save you 10 seconds in MG tournaments. I know it's been used in at least one randomizer race.
All right, with the cape and the golden sword making very quick work here of Vitreous first stage. Only one lightning gets off. No zero cycle, but very nice job either way, and quickly finishes that off. Meanwhile, it looks like SuperJoshh did go straight to Pod. I had missed that. He decided to take Pod out first, and then head to the other ones afterwards.
That's a time neutral decision. They both have to clear Pod in the exact same manner, so it doesn't
Right
matter
at this
what
point,
you
they're just picking and going because everything else is go mode.
I do agree with you. I love the fact that a 27-year-old game is still finding new glitches. There's active development on it.
Oh
It
yeah.
really makes when you look at the end credits and they put original developers at the top. Obviously, they get the credit for making such a great game when it came out, but it feels like they're the minority developers at this point.
Yeah, with all of the work that has gone into Randomizer, not only has the base game, been, like you said, the developers had the base game, but the randomizer has so much logic that goes into where those items can be, because it's not the same place every time. It has so much to kind of make the lives easier for the player, extra little flavor text and things added here and there to make the run a little bit smoother, and a little bit more fun to play. So definitely shout outs to everyone who has put all of the work into this and continues to put work into this game. It's such an amazing game. I love it.
So I was surprised that Emerald checked that first chest there. I really thought he would be pure go moding this dungeon, even skipping that first chest.
Well, he may be under the impression that, one of two things. He could either be looking for silver arrows and figured, this is one room down, let me check it real quick, while I've already got to step into the room. And the next thing could be just slips his mind that, wait, I don't need to be looking for the big key right now, if he decides to do that bomb jump.
That's a good point. Not everybody is comfortable with the bomb jumps, and it's not that difficult or that big a time loss to check that particular chest. But hopefully he does go mode the rest of this dungeon.
Yeah, I would like to see him do this bomb jump here pretty cleanly, and then just head on and through and play a little bit of catch up. And indeed, it does look like he's going for it. So, just a little off the mark there.
I think you got it that time. There we go.
Yep, there it is.
Well, I'll take 2 tries any day.
Oh, definitely. It's not that hard of a trick once you know how to do it, but it's very easy to slip up or mess up. Just being 1 pixel off or just not in the right spot can throw you off right there in that hole, or you do what I do a lot, make it across and get knocked right off by the fireball bar.
It's tough to line up. You have either 0 pixels from the bomb or 2 pixels, depending on where you are. It's frustrating. That's one of those tricks that I can get 100% of the time if I'm at 50% frame rate, but at 60 frames per second, I'm walking off the edge most of the time.
Yeah.
Blame the controller.
It's always the equipment. It's never
the controller's fault.
Never the runner, or it's the lag. Even in a offline game, it's always the lag.
Well, that's like a trick with like hovering. If you're trying to do it in an emulator, it's super hard. But if you're doing it on a console, it actually becomes much more easier to do, just because of the lagging different frame rates and such.
Right, and getting those. Oh, almost getting them trapped in the corner there. Luckily, only missing 1 hit on them, so going back down to finish them off. But Emerald cleaning up Colt's there and getting his next crystal. So with that, all he's got left to do is Palace of Darkness, as SuperJoshh is making his way through what we know to be a long misery mire trek to that vanilla big key chest.
And they both need to climb the mountain again. I think they're going to be within a minute of each other entering GT. Because there's still a lot of mire left here.
Yep, and the Palace of Darkness, being already mostly cleared, is going to be very, very quick to get in there, go straight to the end, and get a quick kill on the boss.
So if Josh checks the right small chest, he might lose a little bit of time here, and it looks like he is doing that. This is the divergence that could have saved him some time if this was
Yeah.
the key.
That may be
But,
what he's thinking, is let me go ahead and just check it. If it's right here, I don't have to go through the rest. I really want to avoid that. But unfortunately, fire rotting his frustration on that chest being just a small key. So
yeah, it's going to be a good 30-second loss there, unfortunately.
So are we going to adjust your prediction to be a minute and a half now, apart from each other?
Too close to call.
It's definitely close. It's definitely close because now he knows exactly where he has to go. He's going to head straight down there, grab his key, go straight to the end. Meanwhile, Emerald's going to be heading up to the end, and there's still a little bit of the dark room, the turtles to get through. So both runners staying very, very close on each other's heels here.
Yeah, I do think Emerald's ahead though, but it is by maybe still like a minute.
While he waits for that long ball opening cutscene.
Yeah, he's waiting for the wall to move, and Josh is running down to the Meyer basement.
I will say that waiting for that wall to open when you're this late in the race, your heart it's kind of a time to, okay, let me try and calm down. Let me think, what am I doing next? I got to finish this up. Where am I at? Where's my opponent at? It gives you a little bit of time to sit there and think, maybe a little more time than you'd want. But I'm curious to see what's going through his mind right now as he's, cleaning this up and had to sit there and wait.
I think it's interesting. I like Josh decided to throw the block instead of put it down there. Something that you usually see if there's no lamp, but otherwise you don't see that.
All right, so SuperJoshh laying down a block to get a quick hit on that, but does not look like he's going to be going for the new tech strats as well, because that would have required him going up there and actually throwing a block in or doing some other stuff with the duck earlier. So.
Yeah, we're still at the point where we just have to say other stuff because I don't think
right.
No one's written a white paper on it that's clear enough for us to explain.
And it's even so, it's still new enough. People are by the hour coming up with new strats, new setups, new technical specifications in the background to write that white paper. So where one person says this is the way you got to do it, another person's going to come in and say, no, you know what? I found another way. Or this is better. This may save you, a couple milliseconds, and a lot of experimentation going into it. And again, shout outs to everyone who's putting a bunch of work involved, making very close to a zero cycle there for SuperJoshh.
We are a fanfare apart, essentially, and that is our 7th crystal for Emerald. So, Josh, you want to not Josh, Patches, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So guys, as we finish up the boss there, we like to play a little game here in the Speed Gaming channel. Where we like to guess where the big tower, Ganon's tower big key is. It could be one of 22 chests, and we're going to see how many chests it takes for Emerald to get to it. So if you guys want to get your guesses in chat, we will go ahead and start up. There it goes. Just start up the bot. If you have donated at least 250 bits or are subbed to any one of the Speed Gaming channels, you can get your name on the leaderboard. If you are the first to guess the correct answer. So go ahead and get your numbers in chat, and as soon as we enter the tower, we will close it off and see what we get. What are you hoping for?
I'm going to go with 14.
14. Let's see. I'm feeling Firebar Room. I believe that's 8. So I'm gonna go with Firebar Room.
That'd be nice. Emerald. He tried to. There's a name for this. It didn't start. Okay,
so unfortunately, it looks like the bot wasn't starting there. So I don't know how we'll be able to handle that, but it's still always fun to get your guesses in the chat there. So we'll see if what we get here in a minute as we are about to head into Ganon's Tower.
Well, bot dead, so you get your internet fame, but no leaderboard. Sorry, guys.
Sometimes internet fame is all somebody needs. And as SuperJoshh is making his way over to Ganon's there, it actually looks like they're less than a minute apart.
Yeah, Emerald tried to do the spin dash where you walk around all the dead rocks instead of hook shot. I forget there's a name for it, but I fell off the ledge, so I had to repeat that.
All right, but we will go off of Emerald's screen. Wow!
Oh, 1. Okay.
1. So whoever had 1. Wow, that was that's an interesting find. Now Emerald's still going to head to the other side because he needs to grab at least 1 key, and there's 1 right there. So Bob would be dead.
Yeah, it's surprising he didn't check the other chest in that room for a small key.
That's true, or for even silvers. You never know in Ganon's Tower. SuperJoshh checking it and getting a mirror shield for his trouble, which may actually make a little bit of a difference here with the mimics coming up. You'll be able to have a little bit better defense against them.
Yeah, Josh just lost the lag frame race for picking up that mirror shield. Yeah, same. No, I mean, no equipment advantage from either player. Only 4 chests remaining for them to, potentially find silvers or something else that could help them at this point. That would just be a potion or the powder or a sank card or something.
Right. And curious to know if either runner will go for, since they did pick up the nets in the Ice Palace, I'm wondering if they'll take a couple safety fairies or not. I don't think that they will with the amount of loadout that they do have, but you never know. Some runners feel a little bit safer grabbing that.
Yeah, at an hour 46, I think you assume rightly in this case that your opponent is really, really close to you, and you don't even have time to pick up that fairy.
Right.
If you die, then a death is going to cost you either way. But I mean, Emerald didn't pick it up. Josh still has the opportunity here too.
Yep, looks like he's gonna forego that as well. So, yeah, I didn't expect him to, but you always gotta wonder. Everyone has their own little style. Emerald taking a couple nice slashes there to finish out that room really quickly.
Yeah, with red mail, they essentially have the gray mail equivalent of 60 hearts at this point, so you probably don't need a fairy.
Well, Ganon, even with the red mail, does like to give some hurtful hugs. So, especially if you're going silverless, you sometimes want to make sure you're not going to get hit by that bat or accidentally run into him when going for that spin. But yeah, again, I don't expect either runner to have too much trouble with it. Although,
sorry,
I was just gonna say, although Emerald coming down to 3 hearts, kind of having a rough time with Lamola too.
Yeah, gonna have to break out that blue potion. Falling has no respect for what kind of mail you have. So you're gonna do 1 hard down. Yeah, he lost a lot of time with that land mode too. That was like a 4 or 5 cycle. Josh picking up a little bit here.
Yep. Unfortunately, missing that last hit. Oh, so Josh also kind of missing there, but I think he got it 1 cycle less. And then Emerald got hung up right there on the Wizrobes. Sometimes that room it looks really easy to do, but it's actually not. The first Wizrobes, you can just kind of lay it down in the middle and hit them all, but that one you have to watch out, make sure that the platform carries it to the right location without hitting that spike, and that's always been kind of the hardest thing for some runners to do.
Josh is through Emerald is through the torches, and Josh is heading into the same Wizrobe room. He does also miss the 1 cycle.
Yeah, he just missed the sword slash, but got the 3 with the cane. So we'll see Emerald get his key here, and he's going to go ahead and check the chest. 300 in 1, and we've got The single arrow, probably the one worst item to find in the game.
Especially in one of your last 4 chests.
It's almost taunting you there, like, oh, silver? No, just a wooden arrow. You wanted arrows though, right?
So Emerald checking these last 4 chests, costing a little bit of time.
I think he's definitely trying to make up whatever, thinking if I can make up whatever time I can by having silvers, that would be nice. But yeah, unfortunately, it's just giving SuperJoshh a little bit more opportunity to catch up as he is skipping those chests. And just a little bit of love.
Yeah, if fortunately Emerald gets through Moldorm without taking a fall here. If Josh has a better Aga fight, they could be entering Ganon at the same time.
Yes, the Geometry Wizard. Now, he will give the same randomization for blue balls and same pattern for teleportation for both runners, but depending on their lineups, we'll see here how many hits they get.
Not taking a fall on Moldorm, but definitely getting knocked around a bunch. Loses some time there.
And Emerald getting 1 hit on the first cycle and 2 on the second. Ooh, unfortunately missed 2 of those and had blue balls from the third, so... Another double there.
So far, pretty nice fight.
Yep, and he cleans that up very nicely. As SuperJoshh is heading into there, we actually have both runners in the Aga 2 fight. One starting it, one ending it, but very, very close race right here. It's definitely going to come down to this execution of a Ganon fight.
Josh also gets the double. Nice positioning here. Gets another
almost
double.
gets the triple though.
This is going to be a 4 cycle for him as well, unless he misses here. So identical Aga fights, at least same number of cycles anyway. Alright, wow, 6 slashes in each of these first 2 phases, and then 12 sword spins in phase 4 without silvers here.
Yep, and that's a nice little position there.
Yeah, nice position, very easy to 1 cycle each of the first 2 phases.
Looks like he's just making sure to use that cape for a little bit of extra dodgeability there. Now, he did use his blue potion, so hopefully, again, because they are silverless, he's probably going to want to make sure he gets that torch glitch and doesn't waste too much magic.
I know Josh still has a green, but I don't know if Josh has any health potions at all left. I think at this point, with half magic, it makes sense to use the cape there, save your health, and if that means you have to use the torch instead of the fire rod for phase 4, then so be it. Right,
and it looks like he's keeping that lantern out, just making sure to light it whenever he gets a couple slices in there.
Yeah, Emerald did get the torch glitch, lighting the first torch before the second one goes out, keeps the second one on indefinitely. Josh is setting up to do the same thing right now.
And finding out that the arrows were in the light world, so it was definitely an overworld location somewhere, probably behind a mirror.
So they both got the torch glitch, and unless Emerald takes a death or a fall here, it's his fight to lose.
Yeah, both runners look like they're very comfortable with doing silverless, positioning themselves just outside the bat's range and then moving around to get a nice little sword slash. For most people who don't know silverless, most runners will use a spin attack in the frames that Ganon is about to teleport. He's vulnerable for, I believe, just a few frames, and that spin attack makes sure you can kind of get a hit in there, doing some damage to him.
Yeah, you can do it with slashes, but a spin gives you a lot of overlap in the invulnerability frames.
Yeah, I believe it's, what, 2 frames if you try and slash it?
I think it's 2. Emerald's been missing these last couple cycles. He's not
unfortunately is missing.
Josh has been very consistent. I don't know what the count is, but wow, this is close.
Oh, and Emerald gets his final hit, so it looks like, unless he falls in, that this would be his game, as Josh looks like a couple more hits to get, and missing right there.
Wow. Yeah.
Definitely a very, very close race. But looks like Emerald pulls through, making it through. GG's to Emerald. Can we get some GG's in chat?
GG's to Emerald. Gives him time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 3 seconds.
Wow. And SuperJoshh is getting down to. Oh, looks like he got his final hit in. Wow. So very, very close race. GG's to both of our runners here. See what his time is when he steps through the gate here in just a second.
Yeah, he had a pretty good rhythm at the beginning, and he was off for a little bit. Looks like his final time is 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 40 seconds. 37-second difference between our two runners. After so
very
many
well done. Oh, indeed. And you know, there were those few gotchas that we were worried about for both runners. You know, oh, is Emerald going to go back and find the ice rod, and is SuperJoshh going to not, need to go back for that shovel, stuff like that. But both of them met up at the end, very close to each other. Wow, very impressive.
Well, just we'll bring them both in for an interview here in just a minute. We have Emerald in the waiting room, and we're just going to give Josh a minute to catch up. So, welcome to our winner, Emerald000, and our runner-up, SuperJoshh. 37-second difference. GG to both of you guys.
GG, guys. Yeah, what a race.
Thank you.
So what was going through y'all's mind right there? Y'all were both in the Ganon fight, and not sure if you looked over to see whether or not the other had finished, but what was going through your mind right there as you're trying to finish that up?
Yeah, so I was thinking, do I need a potion or not? I don't have the silver, but I figured I couldn't have that much of an advance, so I decided, well, what the hell, let's go for it and hope for the best. And looks like that was a good play.
Yeah, that definitely would have made a difference if you had gone out to get the potions. I was commenting on how I was wondering if y'all were going to either go for potions or go for fairies or something like that. But as the time was ticking on, looks like both of you just decided to go for it.
Yeah, I went in with about 8 hearts and only a green potion. I thought about going and getting potions, but I figured I didn't have time.
I really just don't have any questions. It was a really straightforward seed. I guess I'll ask one question. Emerald, you made a Aga play very, very early, and didn't find any progression in the Dark World. When you went back to Light World and found the gloves, were you thinking at that point that the Aga play was unnecessary?
Yeah, I did. I had none of. I needed 2 more items before being able to be in the Dark World and kill the Aga. So I'd get on with it, try to do both worlds at the same time, and didn't end up really working out for me.
Yeah, this whole race was essentially just you guys doing a divergence and then converging back on each other's paths. There was, sync up in Turtle Rock and a few other places, but not a lot of sync for this whole race.
Yeah, there were a lot of places where we could go to 3 or 4 different places. They seem like pretty much the same thing, so definitely could happen in that kind of scene.
Yeah. Now, I was actually curious, SuperJoshh. We had noticed that you decided not to dip into the left side of Swamp there, which ended up, I don't know if you know what ended up over there, but the Emerald had gone over and showed us the shovel was over there, which could have potentially led to something. But I was just curious what your mindset was as you decided, I'm not going to go through. I've got my mitts. Were you just looking to move on, or was that in the back of your mind?
I figured I was playing so bad that I had to make gambles, so I gambled to not do that. I also left the big chest in Thieves Town. That one was really on my mind.
Yeah, well, neither were a bad decision there, as it actually did help you make up some of that time. And yeah, I believe when they entered Ganon's tower, y'all were about 30 seconds apart. So it definitely helped pay off that you made a couple of those gambles.
Well, Emerald, 4-2 next week. How do you feel? Nervous or confident?
Well, I didn't expect to even get like 3 wins or 2 wins, so I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, SuperJoshh. 3-3. Got one more race to finish things out. Same bracket I am. Maybe we'll run into each other there. I hope you'll be sticking with it.
I will be. I came into the tournament only expecting to get 2 wins. That was my goal. I've already surpassed my goal, so I'm just in it for the fun now. And I will be here next week, even though I'm eliminated already. Not next week, the week after, because this is 2 weeks long.
I definitely think that's the right attitude to have. There's a lot of people who this is their first tournament, and regardless of your skill level, every single participant was guaranteed 7 races, and it's absolutely wonderful that we got so much participation. Anybody who's watching and didn't have the opportunity to enter, I encourage you to pick up Randomizer, give it a try, and give the fall tournament a shot.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun. The communities come together, and it's always nice to meet people, and you know, have friendly races. Keep in mind, it's all for fun. We do this all for fun, and again, we were talking earlier about a 27-year-old game still being broken, still having new discoveries, still having so many people involved with it. It's definitely a lot of fun. So I also encourage everybody, at least give it a try. Join the Discord and like talk with people, hop in some streams, you know, just give these runners a follow also. You guys saw the skill level they have. Thank you all so much for an amazing race, both of you. You did an amazing job.
Yeah, so go ahead and wrap things up. Emerald, SuperJoshh, any final thoughts before we close things up?
Well, thank you to you guys for restreaming and stuff. It's a lot appreciated for the work you do for the community.
Yeah, that's my final thoughts exactly. Thanks for the commentating and the restream, and everybody who watched.
Well, we thank you both for putting on the show. We really had a lot of fun, and we encourage you to go watch the VOD. There are links in chat for both Emerald and SuperJoshh. Go ahead, give those guys a follow. There is another race on Speed Gaming 3, which you guys might want to check out. The 2nd and 4th place finishers from the Spring Key Sanity tournament, Andy and Pika Pals, have just started up their 5-0 race. So don't forget that. Before I sign off, I want to thank our tracker, Regera. Absolutely invaluable service. We'd be lost without our trackers. The Speed Gaming staff for doing the restream, keeping everything running smoothly. And of course, my co-commentator, Mega Patches. It's been a true pleasure, sir.
Same here as well. Thank you so much, Tiro, for that. And guys, again, as he said, if you want to see more of speed runs, Speed Gaming 3, there's something going on. But also, don't forget to just follow all 6 of the Speed Gaming channels, as well as the 4 Link to the Past randomizers, ALTTP randomizer 1 through 4, for a lot of amazing stuff. We're gonna keep going on through this tournament and hope to see some more amazing races here in the future.
All right. Good night, Rando fans.
All right, have a good night, everybody, and thank you so much.
Yeah, good night, everyone.